Sometimes history's most valuable find looks like an ordinary stone in the ground, but inside it could be hiding millions of dollars, or a resource worth an entire economy. Some finds fit in the palm of your hand, others stretch for hundreds of kilometers underground. Today, we'll look at 9 natural discoveries with vastly different values. Here, we'll explore diamonds, gold, oil, lithium, meteorites, and ancient fossils from Earth's past. It is crucial to differentiate the actual sale price from the notional value of a vast deposit. You can't simply multiply an underground resource's market price to obtain profit. But discoveries like these sometimes changed cities, countries, and entire global markets. Let's start with the stone that became a symbol of nature's incredible value. In the early 20th century, Cullinan was found near Pretoria, South Africa. The uncut diamond weighed 3,106 metric carats. Cullinan is regarded as the largest diamond of exceptional gem quality ever discovered. The stone was discovered in the Premier mine, where it was located within the extracted rock. Its size exceeded 10 centimeters, and its color was characterized by an unusual bluish whiteness. After its discovery, the diamond was named after the company's chairman, Thomas Cullinan. Later, the Transvaal authorities gifted the famous stone to King Edward VII of Britain. However, selling or wearing such a giant in its entirety was practically impossible. Therefore, it was sent to Amsterdam to the specialists of the famous firm Asher. It took the craftsmen several tense days to prepare the first cleavage line. The very first strike was so dramatic that the cutting tool itself broke. The diamond withstood the blow and remained intact in its setting. Later, the craftsmen succeeded in splitting it into 9 large cut stones. In addition to those, dozens of small diamonds and several uncut fragments also emerged. Today, the 2 largest pieces are included in the famous British Royal Regalia. That is why it is virtually impossible to determine a standard market price for the original Cullinan. The historical value of its parts has long surpassed the worth of just a large transparent diamond. One natural crystal has become both a jewelry legend and a national symbol simultaneously. The next discovery no longer fits in a safe or even in a museum.
In South Africa lies the Witwatersrand basin, which is incredibly rich in ancient gold deposits. The city of Johannesburg developed around its deposits in the late 19th century. The United States Geological Survey calls this basin the largest known gold repository of its kind in the world. It estimates that nearly 40% of all historically mined gold came from here. Imagine a single geological system that has provided a vast share of all the gold ever mined by humanity. The gold here is found within ancient conglomerates, together with quartz pebbles. Long ago, heavy gold particles were transported by water and concentrated in sedimentary layers. Later, the rocks were altered by pressure, temperature, and the movement of hydrothermal solutions.
As a result, extraordinarily extensive gold-bearing layers were formed deep beneath the surface. Subscribe if you are interested in real discoveries that changed entire sectors of the global economy. The main problem with the Witwatersrand is that the easily accessible gold was exhausted long ago. Today, some of the richest layers must be mined at great depths beneath the surface. Some mines in this region are among the deepest underground workings on the planet. There, the rock temperature increases, pressure becomes immense, and the cost of work rises sharply. Therefore, a ton of gold-bearing ore is nowhere near equal in value to the gold it contains. A colossal amount of material has to be drilled, blasted, hauled to the surface, crushed, and processed. But even after these expenses, the basin remained the foundation of South Africa's gold mining industry for decades. This is an example of a find valued not by one nugget, but by generations of extraction. Now let's move on from gold to the liquid that transformed industry around the world. Beneath the vast deserts of Saudi Arabia lies the giant Ghawar oil field, a major discovery. Aramco considers Ghawar to be the largest conventional oil field ever discovered on land worldwide. Ghawar stretches for more than 200 kilometers along a vast geological structure. The discovery of its sections began back in the middle of the last century. The first major Ain Dar well began commercial oil production in the early 1950s. Over time, geologists realized that the different productive areas were connected as one gigantic system. The estimated initial reserves of Ghawar gradually rose with additional exploration efforts. By the end of the last decade, Aramco reported around 128 billion barrels. This refers to the initially estimated crude oil reserves of the field, not the current remaining amount. At that time, proven reserves were significantly smaller, but they were still enormous. The oil field itself remained one of the main oil assets of Saudi Arabia for many decades thereafter. To maintain pressure, seawater is injected into the system through specialized wells. It displaces the oil toward the production wells and helps increase the ultimate recovery. After extraction, the oil is separated from water and gas at large production facilities. The crude then moves through pipelines to refineries, export terminals, and petrochemical facilities. If you simply multiply the original volumes by the price per barrel, you arrive at an astonishing sum. But this simple arithmetic ignores decades of expenses, taxes, production, and changes in the market over time. The true value of Ghawar lies in its ability to produce vast quantities of inexpensive oil for many decades. The next discovery once again resembles an object that could theoretically be placed in a room. In Brazil, a gigantic mass of emerald crystals was discovered, now known as the Bahia emerald. Its total weight is about 380 kilograms, including the surrounding rock. This is not a single transparent faceted emerald, but a massive natural mineral specimen. The light-colored host rock contains numerous large green beryl crystals throughout its interior. It was precisely this unusual size that made the find not only a mineralogical, but also a legal sensation. After it was exported from Brazil, numerous claimants emerged asserting ownership of the object. The disputes lasted for years through American courts, transactions, debts, and claims by various owners. Court documents cited estimates ranging from hundreds of millions to nearly $1 billion. However, this figure cannot be considered a verified market price from an actual sale. It is almost impossible to compare such a unique object with another of comparable size. Furthermore, the value of the uncut mass is significantly different from the value of the finished gemstones. Later, Brazil demanded the return of the find as a national natural treasure illegally taken out of the country. The American federal court ultimately supported the transfer of the enormous emerald to Brazil. It was a rare case in which an entire country was effectively fighting over a natural stone. And the more unique the discovery is, the harder it becomes to determine its actual worth.
A market price emerges only when a genuine buyer exists and the deal has actually been fully completed. Bahia Emerald illustrates why the most extravagant valuations of minerals should be treated with caution. The fifth discovery is not actually a metal, a stone, or any kind of energy resource. This is almost a complete skeleton of a Stegosaurus, which was given the short name Apex. The skeleton was discovered on privately owned land near the town of Dinosaur, Colorado. Commercial paleontologist Jason Cooper found the dinosaur remains in the spring of 2022. After the excavation, it turned out that the skeleton is unusually large and well preserved. The skeleton's total length is approximately 8 meters, while its height reaches several meters. Rare additional details were preserved with the bones, including impressions of the skin. For collectors, it is especially important that most of the bones belong to one specific animal. Composite skeletons from different individuals usually have a very different scientific value. In the summer of 2024, Sotheby's put Apex up for auction. The preliminary estimate was much lower than the price reached during the bidding. Several bidders competed for the skeleton, and the price quickly climbed. The final auction amount totaled $44,600,000 American dollars. Sotheby's announced it as a new world record for the price of a fossil sold at auction. In other words, a natural find over 100 million years old surpassed many works of art. The price depends not on the bone material, but on rarity and preservation. An object like this cannot be recreated, and a second identical Stegosaurus will never exist. That is precisely why a well-documented fossil can be valued at tens of millions of dollars. The sixth discovery is associated with future technologies and an ancient volcano. Straddling the border between Nevada and Oregon lies the enormous McDermott volcanic caldera.
Long ago, a lake existed within it where mineral-rich sediments accumulated over time. Later, hot hydrothermal solutions further altered some of the clay rocks within the caldera. Researchers found unusually high concentrations of lithium in the mineral illite there. In some areas, lithium concentrations were found to be higher than in many known clay deposits. The study estimates the entire basin contains approximately tens of millions of tons of lithium.
One published estimate puts it at approximately 20 to 40 million tons of lithium in the rock. But this figure refers to the geological content of the entire basin, not to proven reserves. Confirmed resources for individual projects are much smaller and calculated by strict standards. This is where the common mistake regarding high estimates of the deposit's value arises. Multiplying all the lithium by the metal's price can yield trillions of dollars. However, much of the material must still be extracted from the clay economically. This requires open pit mines, processing facilities, chemical reagents, water, energy, and substantial infrastructure. Additionally, the projects must undergo environmental assessments and face local interests. Therefore, geological wealth never implies that money is already lying on the surface. However, the lithium concentration makes the ancient caldera an extremely significant modern find. A dormant volcano from millions of years is unexpectedly linked to future batteries. The seventh discovery appeared on Earth without any contribution from geology. Near the Chinese city of Fukang, a huge stony iron meteorite of the pallasite type was discovered. The main mass discovered weighed approximately 1,003 kilograms. Pallasites consist of iron-nickel metal and transparent crystals of the mineral olivine. The gemstone variety of olivine is more commonly known as the precious gemstone peridot. That is why a polished slice of the meteorite looks like green cosmic stained glass set in metal. The crystals become especially striking when light passes through a thin slice. Such meteorites are extremely rare among the major known types of cosmic material. They are thought to originate from the deep interiors of shattered ancient asteroids. Fukang is especially famous for its very large, transparent crystals embedded in an iron matrix. After its discovery, the main mass was divided and pieces were sent to various collections. Some large fragments and slices later appeared at international mineral auctions worldwide. One large piece was once offered for approximately several $million. Yet, an expected asking price does not necessarily guarantee a successful sale of the specimen. Today, individual beautiful slices are valued as rare collectible natural specimens in their own right. The result is a material that is valued by geologists, collectors, and space enthusiasts alike. Each crystal within it was formed long before the emergence of human civilization. In this case, the story of origin is often more valuable than the weight of the raw metal. The eighth discovery is especially remarkable because it was found so close to the surface. In Australia, John Deason and Richard Oates were searching for gold near Molliagul. In February of 1869, a stroke of luck transformed their lives forever. Near the roots of the tree, they discovered a massive amount of quartz and native gold. The upper part of the find lay just a few centimeters beneath the surface soil. The nugget was given the name Welcome Stranger, and it became a legend of the Australian gold rush. Once the impurities were removed, there were approximately 72 kilograms of pure gold. At that time, there simply were no scales nearby capable of weighing such a giant. Therefore, the find had to be broken into pieces right on a regular blacksmith's anvil. Then, the gold was melted down, and the original nugget no longer existed physically. Today, only copies of it can be seen at the discovery site and in museums. The most astonishing thing is that the gold was lying almost literally beneath their feet. The Victoria Museum states the find was about 3 centimeters beneath the surface. People could walk past for years without even realizing what lay beneath the ground. Which discovery would you choose yourself? A giant diamond or a gold nugget like this one? The story of Welcome Stranger perfectly illustrates why gold rushes could drive people completely mad. A single accidental strike of a tool could truly have changed the fate
of a poor prospector. But the latest discovery feels even more like something straight out of an adventure movie. In California, a married couple was once walking on their own land near the Sierra Nevada. On the surface, they noticed an old, rusty metal canister with an unusual shape. Inside, they found gold coins, but the real treasure was just beginning to reveal itself. Nearby, a few more cans with identical contents were found underground. The Saddle Ridge hoard contained 1,427 gold coins. They were minted in the 19th century and lay underground for decades. Some specimens have survived so well that they became especially interesting to collectors. The Smithsonian Museum considers this treasure one of the greatest American discoveries of its kind. The face value of all the coins was incomparably lower than their current collectible value. The estimated value of the entire treasure reached approximately $10 million US. But the identity of the owner who once buried those jars remains unknown to this very day. It remains a mystery why he never returned to reclaim his own stash of gold. The couple who found the treasure hid their true names and the exact location of the find. Some coins later entered the market, while other specimens stayed with their owners. 2 coins were transferred to the National Numismatic Collection of the Smithsonian Institution. It turned out to be a story where a multi-million treasure lay right on ordinary private land.
Write in the comments which of the 9 discoveries you would most like to find for yourself. All these stories share one strange feature of the planet's natural wealth. The value of a find is sometimes determined by the mass of metal and sometimes by its uniqueness. Cullinan is priceless as a historical object, while Apex fetched a real price at auction. Witwatersrand and Ghawar have been measured in decades of industrial extraction on a vast scale. McDermott shows the gap between a $1 trillion estimate and a truly recoverable resource. Fukang is valuable for its origin, while Welcome Stranger was found almost at the surface. Saddle Ridge proves that sometimes condition is more important than the nominal value of gold. The most valuable find does not always seem the most impressive at the time of discovery. Sometimes, humanity realizes the true value of what it has found only decades after the very first strike. And somewhere beneath our feet, the next discovery of this kind is surely still waiting.